what is spirituality? There's so many people using this word today, and I never really know what they mean. But in India, they lived the sages who wrote the Upanishads and who came up with the whole system of philosophies and yoga, which are the roots of all spirituality that we see today in the West. And they said that man consists of three parts: the body, the mind, and the thing that they call the Atman. They said the Atman is the true self. We could translate it as like soul, or I like the word awareness. And they said that a spiritual life is a life that is aimed towards realizing the true self, or the Atman. And seeing that you lost your Atman, your true self, your awareness in identification with the body and mind. And the practices that have come out through this philosophy to realize this truth is what we call yoga. Now, in Vedanta philosophy, the philosophy of Ramakrishna, it is said that Atman is Brahman. Brahman is the formless. In Hinduism they could call it Shiva, in Christianity they could call it the Heavenly Father, in Islam Allah, in Buddhism they call it Nirvana. These are just different words, concepts for the thing that we can't put into a concept, God. But the interesting thing that according to Vedanta, they say Tattvam Asi, thou art that, which means that Atman is Brahman, meaning once you realize the inner self, this kind of formless essence of your true nature, you also realize the formless behind all. So self-realization equals God realization. There's few beings on this earth who have personally realized this truth, and one of the greatest among them was a man called Ramakrishna. He was the guru of Swami Vivekananda, the first yogi who came to the West and spread the universal message of Vedanta over the world. Ramakrishna had this metaphor. He said that as long as a child is happy playing with its toys, the mother can cook or do whatever she wants to do. But as soon as the child gets bored and throws away his toys, the mother will put down whatever she's doing and come running. Similarly, once we get a sense of this Atman, this new way of being, just like the child, we get very bored with the game of life. We don't want to be involved in the drama so much anymore because it's just not interesting. And what is happening within us becomes much more interesting than what's happening on the outside. And we start to reorganize our lives so every moment is about coming into this new way of being, coming into spirit. And so you start meditation and yoga, you start to put up holy pictures, you start to listen to podcasts, you start to read holy books, and you start to fill your life with new ideas, new forms that remind you of your true nature. And it's very functional. Ramakrishna had this metaphor that he said that as long as a tree is young, you need to put a fence around it to protect it from the cows. But when the tree gets big and the trunk is strong, then even the elephant can come and the tree will be just fine. But at the beginning stages, it's very important to kind of protect this new way of being because you feel very fragile and vulnerable, and it's very scary because it's very new and you don't really understand what's happening to you. So it's important to kind of put up the fence of spiritual forms, crystals, pictures, incense, whatever you need to kind of keep a safe environment where you can grow. And once you feel strong in your connection, in your faith, in this new way of being in the world, then you can throw away all the forms, all the meditation, all the practice. And this is the magic of Sri Ramakrishna. He was able to go through every practice because he didn't get attached to any of them. He did Kali worship, and then once he was done, he continued and went into Islam and then Christianity, because he realized that the form is just the form and it's not the thing in itself. And the point of every form is to eventually self-destruct, which it will. Okay, let's take a moment to understand what we mean by Shakti and Kali. There was a German philosopher in the 19th century called Immanuel Kant, and he said that reality has two aspects. One is called phenomenon, which is everything you can perceive through the senses and through the mind, everything you can touch, smell and think about. and noumenon, which is, he called the thing in itself, which is beyond sensory perceptions and is not something you can think about. We have the same ideology in Vedanta. The world of forms or phenomenon is called Shakti, and that which is beyond forms is Brahman. Now, the wisdom of Ramakrishna was that he saw these two aspects of reality as not separate, but as one. In the Mahayana text, the Prajna Paramita, it is said that form is formless, and formless is form. And it's the same truth here. So when we talk about Shakti, we are talking about the manifested universe, the creation. And it's important not to forget that this aspect, the dynamic creative aspect, is not different from the static, silent aspect of Brahman. I'm here at Dakshineswar. That's a temple where Ramakrishna did his Kali worship, and his room where he lived for 12 years during his sadhana is 100 meters that way. This is where he met Vivekananda, and this is where all the devotees came together. And this is the origin of the whole Ramakrishna mission.
कृपामयि नमोऽस्तु ते लज्जापटावृते नित्यं
I have been wanting to come to this temple for years now. I read about it in so many books, and I was so excited as I was finally entering the inner part and getting close to the statue. And I had all these stories in my head about what's happening here and what a big thing this is. But it was so different from what I expected. And I don't know what I expected. Maybe the Divine Mother to descend from the heavens and show herself like she did to Ramakrishna, or I don't know. And it's definitely a very powerful space, and you can feel it in your head and in your spine. But in reality, what happened is that the only thing I noticed were the people who were very aggressive to each other, and the very skinny dogs outside on the street as we came in. And there was so much energy going into the temple. People were so excited, they were like frantic, and they were so bowing in front of the statue, and for me it just felt so wrong. Like even Ramakrishna said that if you're looking for God, look in men, because out of all the things, God manifests in men the most. And so I don't understand why we would put so much energy into a worship of a clay image if we are not in the same time giving just as much energy into being with each other and taking care of each other. And I feel like that has to happen first before you go into a temple. It didn't feel right. And although I know the significance of this place and the significance of the deity and Ramakrishna, still in my heart it just didn't feel right. And maybe it's me? And maybe it's about letting go of expectations, because ever since I got back to India, I'm very scared, because it's very different from what I remember, and I changed a lot, which I didn't notice. I used to love the stories about Brahma and Shiva, and I used to love the temples and the puja and the arti. But right now it doesn't click somehow, and it's very scary. Because I came all the way here, come back to what I thought I know, this felt like a home, and now it doesn't. It feels very different. And as I said before, at the beginning of the journey you really embrace these stories and art and the music and the puja. But these are also just forms, and forms change. And maybe right now it feels like that the teaching from Ma is not that she came down from heaven and imparted some deep knowledge, but just showing how to let go of forms and expectations. And that's why she's Kali. Kali is the destroyer. She's the one who comes after impurities. You saw the pictures. You don't want to meet her in the middle of the night or something. But she's scary. She's terrifying. And it is really scary. Because you have so much love and investment of energy into these things, and then suddenly, poof, gone, new reality. It's very scary that to find that which is beyond change, you really have to embrace the change of forms. And as long as you are standing somewhere, as long as you are a spiritual seeker, as long as you are anybody, you're not free. And it's terrifying because you're standing nowhere. All the things that you invested so much energy into, all these things just feel so dry all of a sudden. And it's terrifying. And you just have to sit in it. But the funny thing is that I don't feel like I lost my connection. It feels like me feeling like, okay, wait, let me rephrase that. Funny enough, it feels like me losing my connection or feeling like I lost my connection just proves that I have the connection. It still feels very strong, but not from the things that used to give it to me. This kind of connection to the spirit or the Atman or your inner self, whatever you want to call it. It's still here, very strong. It's just very hard to accept that all the things that used to bring me there don't work anymore.
I have always been interested in monastic life and have been wanting to learn more about the Ramakrishna mission for quite some time now to see how Ramakrishna's message lives on in our times. The Ramakrishna math and mission was founded by Vivekananda and has helped hundreds of thousands of people in their spiritual growth, while also providing humanitarian service to people all over the globe. While I was in Kolkata, I had the amazing opportunity to talk with one of the sannyasins from the order, Swami Stava Priyananda, who explained what the essence of the work is, along with many other topics.